What's going on, football fans? It's your old pal J.R. Clark back once again. Start of a new season in a sense, at least start for me. Toby D's been holding it down for the last couple weeks, and I've very much appreciated him. I was having some, I guess you could say some equipment issues, but I got me a new mic now, and we'll see how it goes from here. So let's just jump on into it, huh? We got a good old-fashioned hate week this week. We got the Saints coming into town. You know, the Saints go marching one by one. So that's going to be another, good test for us, especially defensively. I mean, we come into the season one of the healthier teams, and that quickly changed. You had Keanu Neal go down for the season. You had Debo go down for at least 8 weeks. He won't be eligible to come back until I think week 11 when we play Dallas. But if we're in contention at that point, which I think we could be, he'll be a welcome sight back. But let's turn our attention to the game on Sunday. Sunday we got Drew Brees and the Saints coming into the Benz. That's always a crazy game. That's always a tight game. A lot of points scored. Very interesting times, regardless of how the teams are playing. You got the Saints and the Falcons both have the same record of 1-1, but the Saints could have easily been 0-2 if the Browns had a decent kicker at the time. Since then, that they have released their kicker and signed a new guy, so maybe their fortunes will turn. But anywho, but our birds look to have, at least for 1 week, righted the ship offensively. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that going. It seems like Sarkisian, at least for 1 week, has found good flow. I don't think I saw any bubble screens, which I was glad to see not making into the game plan. Only very few jet sweeps, maybe one, maybe two. I can't remember correctly, but so hopefully they have found a rhythm. Kind of reminiscent of 2016 when we came out flat against Tampa Bay at home, and then went on a tear after that. Hopefully that's things to come. Signs of things to come, so to speak. My biggest concerns heading into this for us is our injuries, right? I mean, you're down Deion Jones, you're down Keanu Neal, Tack McKinley's got a groin injury, Derek Shelby's got a groin injury, Andy Levitre's out for the season now, so now you get to see Wes Schweitzer for the rest of the year at left guard, which, I mean, albeit he came in for most of that game against Carolina and fared very well against that defensive front, which they were able to open up some holes for Tevin. So that's a good sign. Oh yeah, and Devontae. I mean, Devontae's out for a couple more weeks with what is a knee injury, a sprained MCL. It sounds like the thing that he was dealing with over the offseason seemed to have cropped back up. So, anyway, we're dealing with some, definitely dealing with some injuries, and that always sucks. But if this team is going to be anything this year, we're going to have to be able to deal with that, right? We're going to have to be able to overcome that and, push through that, right? Hopefully you have on paper what should be enough weapons to withstand Devontae being out a few weeks. I mean, heck, Ito Smith looked really good last week in his limited appearance. So if Ito and Tevin can hold it down for a couple weeks and let Devontae get, truly healthy, we could have a real nice three-headed monster if they so choose. And if Calvin Ridley showed you last week that was the reason why they drafted him, if he can start to come on, that's even more of a boon, right? I think the biggest difference between the first week and last week was the fact that they were spreading the ball around a lot more. I mean, I believe he hit 7 different receivers during that that game. So, that harkens back to 2016 when he was spreading the ball. He, being Matt Ryan, was spreading the ball all over the field and not necessarily just focusing on Julio Jones. So, hopefully they can get back to that. And as far as, going against the Saints defense, they don't seem to be the top 5 defense that they were last year. Top 5 in a handful of different categories. They seem to have maybe regressed some. I'm not so sure. Could be some sophomore slumps for Lattimore and P.J. Williams, which can happen and tends to happen sometimes. So maybe that's something that we can take advantage of. I didn't get a chance to watch the Saints-Browns game, so I'm not. The score indicated that the Browns weren't really doing a whole ton, but without being able to watch it, I couldn't really tell you how they actually looked on offense, if they were shooting themselves in the foot, so on and so forth. But and also keep in mind that the Saints had these performances at home, right? It's hard to win on the road in the NFL, but the Saints are having these types of performances typically where they're really good, which is in the Superdome. So that leads me to believe, our game is going to be their first road game. So, hopefully that can also work in our favor, obviously being at home. And I think this year the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, or, the Benz, is more of a home, right? Because last year was our first year in the Benz, and I don't know how much that factors into these guys, but it didn't seem like, in a way, that they were very comfortable at the Benz until maybe closer towards the end of the season. Maybe now they got that comfort, where the lights are and dead spots and things like that. Maybe they're a little bit more comfortable this year, and hopefully they won't struggle. I mean, let's just face it, hopefully they don't struggle. We don't want to watch them struggle. But with that being said, obviously the keys to this game are affect Drew Brees in any way you can. I mean, he gets rid of the ball so fast, so trying to sack him consistently is very hard. But if you can move him off his spot, like they like to say, then, mess up his throwing lanes and, get in his face, hopefully, he can get some errant passes, which we've done to him in the past, and hopefully we can get more positive in the turnover ratio, which is always a way to win. Well, but it's a key to win, I guess you could say. So that is, one thing. And then one of the bigger pieces that we have to bottle up is Alvin Kamara, right? Christian McCaffrey had a good game against us last week. I think he went for over 100 all-purpose yards receiving and running. So, Kamara is another dude who does those type things, catches it coming out of the backfield, runs in between the tackles. I mean, he's an all-purpose back for sure. But this time around, at least for this meeting, they don't have the hammer that is Mark Ingram. So they're having to rely on some lesser-known guys, at least lesser-known to them, for backup duty. So that also could work in our favor. But as far as their main weapons go, it's Michael Thomas and it's Alvin Kamara. So, Trufant and Alford are really going to have to be on their game to limit the damage that, Thomas brings to the table. I mean, he's their, Julio Jones in a sense. He's their number one. But hell, y'all all know that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you nothing new here. It's really hard to actually come up with something new against a rival such as the Saints. I mean, this is our biggest rival of the year. You play them twice. You play them twice every year. So it's really hard to come up with different things and different aspects and different spins to lay on this game. But the spins that I will come up with is I'm really looking for Duke Riley to continue to play better. I noticed that a lot of people like to bag on Duke, And don't get me wrong, he's not Deion Jones, at least not yet, and I don't know if he'll ever be Deion Jones, but there aren't many linebackers out there that are Deion Jones. So seeing the comparisons to Duke Riley and Deion Jones going, oh, well, Deion would have made that play. Well, yeah, no doubt Deion would have made that play. You know, we got extremely lucky drafting potential superstar linebacker in the 3rd round. You know, that doesn't happen all the time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe cut Duke Riley a little bit of slack. You know, this is his 2nd year. You know, he didn't play a ton last year, and now he's being thrust into a starting role, which I might add, I think he will make a better middle linebacker than weak side linebacker. You know, in the middle, it's more read and react, you know, than weak side and strong side. So he seems to be more comfortable playing like that. That's where he played at LSU. That's where he was most effective. So I look for him to get better as the season goes on. Yeah, he's not perfect right now. He's missed a handful of tackles, and he seems to be slow at times to diagnose some of these plays. But, you know, I think we just got spoiled with how good Deion Jones was coming into this league. And, you know, that doesn't happen all the time. That's not a regular occurrence, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So maybe, you know, dial back some of the criticism of Jones. And then let's also hope that KZ can dial his aggression back at the proper times. I mean, that hit on Cam Newton, however you feel about hits like that on a quarterback, you can't do that in today's NFL, you know. If the quarterback is sliding, he is giving himself up, you have got to pull up. You know, that's just point blank. And I think he was just being a little too aggressive there, maybe trying to fill the shoes of Keanu Neal a little too much there. What we need KZ to be is that ball-hawking corner that he was at San Diego State, that led the league in interceptions that year. That's the guy we need him to be. We need him to be the best KZ that he can be. I need him to be a sure tackler. I need him to be a ball hawk. Yeah, you put him at safety, and that's fine. Y'all want to, you know, convert him to a safety, but I really feel like in a lot of ways we're out there playing with, you know, 4 cornerbacks. Because, you know, Rico was a cornerback in college, KZ was a cornerback in college, and then of course you got True and you got Alford. So I really feel like we're playing like a dime set all the time out there, but so be it. That's what we have to do. I mean, you can mix in, was it James Richards, the safety we got from New England for a 7th round pick or whatever. You can mix him in, but he's definitely a box safety. You want him covering nobody. But the interesting thing that could emerge as the X factor, and I look to see him get more involved, is that Alukonu, the Foye Alukonu guy, the kid out of Yale. I mean, he played a hybrid position at Yale for that team. He played linebacker / safety. So maybe that's somebody that we can count on to lead to the more of that hybrid role. Because let's just face it, man, Keanu Neal played, you know, more in the box than anything else. So I'll be interested to see how this defensive front looks over the next few weeks, you know, and looks over this year. But hopefully they come together and form up real well, and, you know, can start making the strides that we want. And it needs to start this week against the Saints and against Drew Brees, because if he catches you slacking, man, as much as I know y'all like Cam Newton, Drew Brees is a whole different animal. I mean, y'all know that. Y'all seen that dude light up the scoreboard. So our defense is going to have to be on its game. But as I stated earlier, there's not a whole ton that you can spin on the rivalry such as the Falcons Saints, other than it's good old-fashioned hate week, and let's go get this W. Rise up.